Hi, it's Gordon, Fat Climber, with my latest Mounjaro Diaries. It's been an interesting week, and I made a decision this week that I just want to talk to you about. Firstly, a bit of background. I decided to start taking Mounjaro 8 weeks ago, so I've been taking it for 8 weeks. And in that 8 weeks, I've lost a total of 29 pounds, or just over 13 kilos. And that includes a week I didn't lose any weight because I was off at a friend's wedding and staying away from home for a few days, overindulging in food and drink. So suffice it to say that for me, Mounjaro has been working. Now, I just want to make a disclaimer. I am not an expert. I'm not a medical profession. I've done a lot of research into various sources about this drug, the potential risks, the use of the pens, the use of the fabled fifth dose, and I decided to make my decisions based on what I wanted to do. I don't want anyone to take any of my videos as a suggestion. You have to make your own decisions. You have to make your own decisions whether Mounjaro is right for you. If you decide to take Mounjaro or any of the other GLP-1 appetite suppressants, you have to make your own decisions about whether you're using them or not. And if you decide to, you have to make your own decisions about the wisdom of using the fifth dose. I've done research, and for every source I find to suggest it's not a good idea or that it's just a delivery liquid, I find sources to suggest that that can't be the case. More on that later. Anyway, so 8 weeks in, and something strange happened last week. I think I've said before that one of the things I like about Mounjaro is that although it's called an appetite suppressant, a lot of my problem in the past to do with weight hasn't been feeling hungry. It's been to do with eating when I'm not hungry, snacking, eating in the middle of the night. I'm a terrible sleeper, and I used to roam the house in the middle of the night looking for food to eat, not because I was hungry. So a lot of my problems have been what I would call habitual eating. And one of the things I found almost immediately when I started taking Mounjaro wasn't that I didn't feel hungry. It was that I wasn't constantly thinking about eating. I was speaking to a friend of mine recently who I discover has been taking a similar drug, Wegovy, and she described it as the voice has gone. In fact, she's tapering at the moment, coming off the drug, and she's noticed the voice is back. And as soon as she said that, it made me realise that is what it's like. When I've been sitting maybe in an evening watching the telly or through the night when I wasn't being able to sleep, it's like a little voice telling me about there being chocolate or food or biscuits, or telling me to nip to the local shop and get some. I used to drive down the road after a climbing session. If I had to stop in at the garage to get petrol, or maybe I didn't have any food, so I'd stop in to get food, and the little voice would tell me to get a packet of biscuits, and I'd start to eat the biscuits and the little voice would tell me to finish them. So it has been like that for me for 8 weeks. The little voice has been gone. Food has not been my focus. So although it's been effective because I've not been eating as much. And the thing I love about it is I haven't had to work at eating less up until last week. Now, I took my 2.5 milligrams. It's recommended for 4 weeks, and I decided to opt for the fifth dose. Video up here if you're interested in that. And then I upped the dose to 5 milligrams, as is recommended. A lot of people in my comments were suggesting, well, if it's working, why are you upping the dose? And I don't really know, other than my understanding of it is the 2.5, the 5, the 7, even the 10 milligrams are doses that are easing you into what is the recommended dose. So I felt upping it was the right thing to do. Also, I didn't want to not up it and then realise at the start of my 4 or 5 week period it was reducing in effectiveness. So I upped the dose. So I've been taking 5 milligrams for 3 weeks. And last week I noticed the voice back. Last week, I noticed myself feeling hungry. I was sitting in the house one night and a little voice in my head reminded me that I had some bread left over from when I had visitors. I never eat bread. And I tried to resist it, but before I knew it, I'd made 4 slices of toast and butter with a cup of tea and I was eating that. So the weird thing about it is, even although I've been finding it hard this week, I haven't really, other than 4 slices of bread, I haven't really changed my eating habits. However, this week, for the first time in all the time I've been taking Mounjaro, I've gained weight. I put on just under 2 pounds in the last week. Now, I know that people might say it's not unexpected, you're looking at a trend, all of that. However, when I look at my calorific intake over the last week, I've been on a deficit, at least 500 calories deficit every day, including the day I've decided to go mad and eat all that bread, and I've still put on weight. So to say I'm disappointed this week is an understatement. And it's prompted me to make a decision. I still had a 4th dose and a 5th dose of my 5 milligrams before I had to reorder and up my dose to 7.5 milligrams. But what I've decided to do is, as my 4th dose, to make it 7.5 milligrams. I'll talk about how I did that in a minute. Now, you might be thinking, well, you're upping too early. You've only been taking 5 milligrams for 3 weeks. And that's true. Technically, I have been taking it for 8 weeks. So I'm not really upping my dose earlier than I should in the longer term. I made my decision. I do not want to have another week where I'm struggling to not overindulge. I don't want another week with the resurgence of the voice. This is working too well for me to jeopardize it now. So I've made my decision. I've ordered my 7.5 milligram pens. It should arrive in the next couple of days. And today, instead of taking 5 milligrams, I took 7.5 milligrams. And I want to talk about how I did that. The pens, we talked about this before, the pens are designed to administer 4 doses of 0.6 millilitres. When you use the 4 doses, at the end here, there is easily enough liquid to constitute another dose. So a lot of people out there have been forcing the pens to deliver that additional 5 milligrams. Now, the negative views are, you're breaking the pen, there's a risk of plastic getting into the liquid. I don't buy it. The part here with the liquid is completely sealed. If you're breaking the pen, you're breaking it here. Any plastic is going to be this side of the plunger, so I don't think any plastic's getting in there. The other argument is, well, the pen manufacturers say this is just delivery liquid. But when you get a new pen, all the liquid is in here, all of it. So the active ingredient and the delivery liquid. So how, by the time you get to the end, are they suggesting that there's only 4 doses worth of active ingredient and somehow the pen decides to give you all of that in 4 doses? So again, I don't buy that. I think it's a manufacturing issue. As I say, I looked into it. I did a lot of research. I saw the negative views. I saw videos from medical professionals saying why, but I also found videos from medical professionals saying why they don't buy it. Anyway, the long and the short of it is, I made my decision that I wanted to take the 5th dose. You don't have to agree with me. And I'm definitely not suggesting you do the same. If I talk about this at all, it's because I'm giving you my story. I'm just documenting my story. And if you're looking to do it and you wanted to find out how, I'll tell you how. I've also found some information recently and had some comments recently that the method for getting the 5th dose has stopped working. Now, I've only done it once, I've only forced it once, and I did find it difficult. In fact, I think I said in my video, the first time I tried it, the plunger just didn't move. We ended up with a gap between the end and the plunger, and I had given up, and I reset it, and it worked. So there is every possibility they've changed the design of the pen to stop working it. So there was an alternative to breaking the pen, and the alternative is to use one of these. This is a disposable insulin pen designed for self-use, and the other method that I found about getting the 5th dose was to actually use this pen in the end of here into the liquid that's left and draw up the liquid. And that's what I've decided I'm going to do going forward. I've ordered a big pack of these pens. You can get them relatively cheap on Amazon. They hold up to 1 milliliter. An active dose is 0.6 milliliter, so that's easily enough. And I'm going to use that going forward. There's information out there about risks, but basically what you're doing is using this pen in the way it's designed, i.e. inserting it into a capsule that contains liquid, drawing up the liquid, clearing it of air, getting rid of any additional liquid and using it. So I struggle to see how it's risky. As long as you keep the end of this clean, as long as you clear the air bubbles and clear any liquid, anything that may be in the syringe somehow. Oh, don't open that. I'll dispose of this. I fail to see how these are risky. So going forward, what I'm going to be doing is when I take my 5th dose, I'm going to be using a pen. What I did today was I had a 4th dose of 5 milligrams left, and then after that, a full dose of 5 milligrams. What I wanted to do was up it to 7.5, so I drew out 2.5 milligrams, which is half the amount of liquid. The delivery is 0.6 milliliters, so what I drew up is 0.3 milliliters using this pen. And I just want to show you the video of me doing that. So here we have my 5 milligram pen, and you can see this is the 4th dose, but after that there's going to be plenty of liquid. So as usual, just make sure it's clean, stick on the syringe, cover off, prime, clear any debris, prime the full dose until the 1 appears, and inject. Once injected, cover, remove syringe, and pop in sharps box. And here is one of the syringes I bought. You can see there's one end. So you can see that this goes up to, it doesn't say, but that's 1 milliliter. And here is a full dose of 0.6 milliliters, and what I'll be taking, which is 0.3 milliliters. So I just take the cover off. Although it was already cleaned, make sure the end is cleaned. Insert the needle, carefully insert the needle through the end. You can actually see the needle is in the liquid. I found it quite hard to do this, but it was my first time, so next time I'll be more organised. So find a position of holding it that works, and then just draw out the liquid. And you can actually see on the pen the plunger being pulled down as the liquid is drawn out. So I took out just a bit more than 0.3 milliliters so that I could evacuate any excess. And you can see me taking it up to 0.3 milliliters and then picking an injection site, which is different from the one I've just put in. Sticking it, the needle's a bit longer and a bit thicker, but I couldn't feel it. Slowly inject it. Once finished, hold for 5 seconds, same as you would with the pen. And then once done, wee bit of a wipe. And remember, after covering the needle, put it back in your sharps box. Done. The other thing this allowed me to do is once I had administered 0.3 millilitres, there was still liquid left, so I used the pen to take it out just to see how much was in there. And there was about 0.5 millilitres left after I'd taken out the 0.3, which means there's easily a full dose left as your 5th dose. That's something I've seen out there, people questioning, is it actually a full dose? There's easily a full dose. So that's it. I'm breaking convention again. I've upped to 7.5 milligrams and I've done it using my pipe, using my last normal dose of 5 milligrams plus half a dose from the 5th dose. And when I get my 7.5 milligram pens from next week, I'll be using 7.5 milligrams and I'll probably use the 5th dose of that as well. Whether I'll up it to 10 milligrams will depend on how I'm going, how I'm feeling. But even if I don't decide to up it to 10 milligrams, my plan would be to get the 10 milligram pens and take, I think it's about 6 7.5 milligram doses from it using the clicker method. I'll keep you posted on how that goes. Again, I just want to stress, none of this is advice. I'm making my decisions, stupid as they may be. A friend of mine is very, very upset with me saying that I'm doing this for health reasons and then risking my health. The difference is I don't see it as a risk. I'm taking all the precautions, I'm cleaning everything, I'm using needles in the way they're designed to be used. I'm now not breaking the pen, which I understand people were concerned about. So that's me. 2 pounds on in the 8th week, very disappointed. It's the first week it's gone the wrong way, and hopefully by next week with my 7.5 milligrams, that'll be back on track and we can start enjoying the benefits of Mounjaro again. If you have any questions, ask me in the comments. Feel free to comment on your views of whether I should or shouldn't be doing this, but keep it civil. A healthy debate is a very effective thing. What about you? If you're taking the drug, have you been using the 5th dose? If you are using the 5th dose, how have you been administering it? Have you been using the syringe or have you been forcing the pen? If you are not subscribed to this channel, then bear in mind the channel is predominantly a climbing channel with a bit there about fitness and weight loss, and this content is about weight loss. So, but if you're interested in that, if you're interested in keeping up, if you're interested in finding out what happens next, then subscribe. If you're finding this useful, remember to hit the like. And if you have any questions to ask them in the comments. I'll update you, possibly not next week unless there's a dramatic change, but I'll give you an update in a couple of weeks at least with how the 7.5 milligrams is going. Thanks for watching.